Hi, welcome to this session about how to use the checklist application in the Chainformation platform. This first part is a general description of the application, the module, and then there is a second video on the how to set up a new checklist. The checklist application is built to be a very useful tool for having all daily operation routines and procedures actually performed. It's a great support for staff, and it will allow management for real-time report on deviations and compliance. Let's take a look at the typical checklist here. Like daily opening and closing routines is a very common way to use the checklist. But a checklist can be given any recurring schedule. It could be on a multiple settings every day. You can have checklists coming and going several times a day, several times a week. You can have it weekly, monthly, quarterly, specific days of months, and so on and so forth. It's very similar to the logic when you set up a recurring calendar event in your Outlook or your calendar features. A checklist can be set as a global checklist, meaning that all your units or your stores or restaurants will have to do the same checklist. So like you could have a common network-wide pre-opening checklist, but you could then also have specific checklists for each market. If you're an international operations, you could have a specific common checklist for all of Germany and another one for all of Italy. You could also have it on a region level and of course at a local level. So as the most detailed setting, you could have each restaurant or store actually creating their own local checklists. So depending how you set up the access levels and the organizational structure in the platform, you could have checklists in many different levels. And of course, you could have all these different checklists running at the same time. So end users would only experience checklists popping up as a daily or weekly or other recurring items, depending if it's a central, national, regional, or local checklist. So it's very, very flexible to have this to fit exactly the needs for your organization. The platform will also automatically send push notifications to all users who are tasked with filling out a checklist. So through the Chainformation app, there will be a push notification as soon as there is a new checklist that needs performing. And same goes for the reminder setup. So there will be a reminder maybe 2 hours before deadline telling the users that you have X amount of items to perform before deadline. A checklist is comprised of a checklist item. So in this case, we have a daily opening checklist, and these are all the different checkpoint items we have to go through. For a checklist item, set it as OK or not OK. It is not possible to have any other settings, so you can't have a 3-step scale or something like that. You can also make comments to explain what's not okay. And if you're on a mobile device, you can also add a picture directly from the camera or a video. You can also attach different types of files to a checkpoint item. And there is also a progress bar in the top telling you how many tasks you have left. And when the checklist is done, you just click done and it's finished, and there will be automatically a report generated. So let's take a quick look at the checklist reports. The reports are available depending on a user's access levels. So if you're the local store manager or restaurant manager, you could have access to checklist reports for your units. If you're a multi-unit franchisee, you could have access to all your units. Same thing for the area manager, the country manager, and global headquarters. So it's a cascading access to different checklists. The first thing you have on a checklist report is an overview dashboard of all the checklists you have access to, all the checklist reports. And what you see here in this list is a summary of the latest iteration of each checklist. So if it's a daily checklist, what you would see here is the performance of the latest daily iteration. So that would be either today or from yesterday, depending on the actual time when you look at the checklist. In the checklist report, you can then drill down to see different details. The first overview is showing you how many of the checklist items are completed of today's checklist. So if this were a real checklist, this would be kind of depressing numbers. You will also see the amount of deviations reported, and a deviation is a checkpoint set as not okay. Then you can drill down to see the different details. So if you want to see what deviations do we have reported, then you will have a bar graph showing you how many deviations for each site. In this particular case, it's only one site that reported. Otherwise, you will have different bars for each site reporting deviation. And we can click on the bar, and then we will be able to see which items are marked as not okay, and we will have access to the comment made by the user, and if there were an attachment like a photo or a video, we would have a thumbnail here we could click up and to see the details. We also have access to user information, so by clicking this link you can access contact information for that specific user if you need to ask any in-depth questions. You can then change your report settings for different dates, and if you change anything, the report will update in real time. You can also set filters for different units, different business areas, and this is all depending on your own access level, what you have access to. This graph here, which is looking a little strange in this demo, will show you the status of your checklist over time. It's divided between the three different statuses you can have. Red, meaning that checkpoint items have not been performed at all in time for deadline. Green represents that a checkpoint item is set as okay and it's performed in time, and yellow is deviations, or the light green. So you can see here over time your graph will plot the trends you have for the different statuses. You can then also access your different checklists here if you want to check reports quickly for other checklists. Checklists can also be created for a one-time usage. It could be like in this case, you could have one specific task or specific process you need to have a checklist for. It could be like a campaign setup. So your marketing department launches a checklist prior to a campaign to make sure that all your stores and sites are ready for campaign start. So you could have checkpoints saying that, did you get the promotion material in print? Did you set up all the promotion material according to visual merchandising standards? And then you could require a photo as a proof or as inspiration for the other stores. You can ask if they have booked local Facebook campaigns and so on and so forth. And that checklist has a deadline, like maybe 1 week before campaign start, and then it just is shut down. So checklist is a very versatile tool. You can also create checklist templates. If you have complex checklists, it's very easy to create versions of that just by creating templates. And if you need to access raw data from checklists, those are available through the Chainformation API. So if you need to access data for another system like a business intelligence platform and so on, you could access those through the APIs. Thank you.